Welcome to Thrive, everybody, and good morning. This morning, Nicholas shared with us a story about the founding journey of AppDirect, and he shared, the vision that really guides our strategy and our growth. And those early days were very interesting, but we thought it would be really cool to assemble a panel of our early marketplace customers and have them share insights, sort of real-world examples of how they built their strategy. So let's welcome to the stage our three panelists. Khaled Char from Cancom, Chris Wooden from Soft Choice, and Stuart Hawker from Vodafone. So, you guys have been doing marketplaces before marketplaces were cool.
We made them cool.
I'll give you that. You did. But you guys have done some exceptional things in your organizations. You've all created tremendous success over a number of years. And I think it's going to be really insightful for everybody to hear your stories and your challenges and your wins. So Stuart, let's start with you. Vodafone is one of our largest operations, one of our largest marketplace, AppDirect's largest customers, really. And you've got markets now, I think, 14 countries.
Yeah.
It's been almost a decade.
Yeah. I was a lot less grey before we started.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. So tell us the story. How did you guys deploy this? What was your roadmap? And what was the secret sauce that made this work? Or was there a secret sauce?
We found that as we went along the journey, right? But I think, so back in 2015 when we joined our partnership with AppDirect, I suppose we had three key things that we were trying to do. Improve our customer experience. We were selling digital services, but there was a lot of friction in that. And it could take even weeks to provision services, so we had a lot of challenges with that. And there was a hard requirement to extend our portfolio of services as well. We were selling Microsoft back in those days, but there was a real push to change our offering into cybersecurity products as well. And equally, I think the last sort of theme was reduce of IT spend. Vodafone is a very complex organization, an organization that has acquired a lot of businesses, and with that, there's a lot of IT challenges we have. So the partnership then really sort of, I suppose, took us to the next stage of how can we start to improve those things. And ultimately, what we started to see was quicker time to market with products, a better customer experience, and equally starting to see the revenue growth that was putting through. I suppose in terms of secret sauce, I think it's been a journey, I should say. And I'm going to caveat this next statement to say it's not an easy journey either. But what we've seen recently is really looking at a land and expand approach to the platform. When we first started in 2015, our first market did take a long time to deploy. It was sort of fraught with challenges. It was rather expensive as well. So we said we can't keep doing this to unlock the business value we know the platform can deliver. So what we did was change the mindset to a land and expand approach. And what we mean by that is really just use the platform, integrate it to the bare minimum you can to launch it and unlock business value. Because what we've seen more recently is once you have those proof points and you start to unlock business value, then the business is more willing to invest in the platform and do the integrations you need to do as well. So it's a continual journey and we're continually transforming as well. But it's a journey that's we're continuing to invest in within Vodafone across the group of platforms we exist.
Any specific challenges when you look at different geographies? A lot of this audience is pretty focused on North America, and that's like one market, right?
Yeah.
You guys had to address a lot of geographies. Did that add challenges?
Always, right? And all of our countries are different in their own right. Germany with the data sovereignty laws, or Turkey with the data sovereignty laws as well. And so yes, but I think what we do is we really, in partnership with AppDirect actually, work with the markets to make sure we can deliver as quickly as we can, as effectively as we can, and basically work in tandem with a three-party type of relationship to make sure we can hit the ground running as quickly as we can.
Yeah. Khaled, Cancom has had some tremendous growth, and the marketplace is now a key part of your business. you've been there since the inception. Like,
Yeah.
tell me about that story. I mean, what are 2 or 3 things that really made a difference in the growth?
I could talk
Other than
hours
being
about that.
cool, other than being cool, yeah.
We made it cool. So there's a lot of things you can do wrong. And let's focus maybe today on a few things you have to do right.
Yeah.
It sounds obvious, but I think it's not. So get your portfolio right. What do you want to sell? And we heard it from Nick this morning with AppDirect. You have literally access to thousands of applications, fancy line of business applications, etc. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's an easy sell. So really focus on what you think you can take to market. You have your own brand, you have your own reputation, you have some kind of expertise. You should know your customers. Be very clear about what is your portfolio. Not everything works. And you don't want to end up conquering a niche market that doesn't work for you. So be very clear and focused on a portfolio. I think that's one super important step to enter the marketplace step.
So are you thinking from a portfolio perspective, less is more initially,
Yes.
and not try to...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We all have that dream of a long tail strategy with thousands of apps. I think it definitely makes sense. It can work, but it's not the first thing to do. Long tail strategy should follow somewhere in time later, definitely. So other things to consider, when I look at the CanCom customer base, we run several thousand customers today on the marketplace. You can basically divide them into 2 groups. There's one group that is somehow educated by us to know how to navigate the marketplace, to be aware of all those features and benefits, etc. And the other group that isn't, right? And that's a big difference in cross-selling, in upselling, in converting assisted sales to self-service sales. So really have a clear strategy on onboarding your customers. Even though everything is digital, everything looks intuitive, the reality is it's not. You have to educate your customers. So have a clear customer onboarding strategy, make them aware of all those benefits, and then you have a good chance to succeed. Last but not least, I think nobody starts an isolated marketplace business today. It will always be part of a larger business, of an existing business. Be beneficial to all of your colleagues, to all of your other departments, etc. You don't want competition within your company. So try to align all processes that everybody has fun, has some benefits from using the marketplace, super important. Everybody needs to love your marketplace. You don't want any competition. You want any bad voices. I think that's 3 super important things to consider.
Yeah, getting internal buy-in on the
Yes.
strategy is something that I consistently hear.
And even if you have the management buy-in from
Yeah.
the top level, you have to make sure some levels below that they are all happy with the processes.
strategy.
Yes.
Yeah. So Chris, I mean, commerce is a big part of our marketplace, and a lot of companies start with the marketplace and they think about a listing sort of marketplace where they showcase products, do lead capture, and then they introduce commerce once they understand that they have, visitors and actual a business that can be monetized. I mean, SoftChoice started with commerce and now are sort of using the marketplace. You guys reversed the flow, and tell us that story and tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it definitely was not the typical journey with AppDirect. It started about 6 years ago, and what we actually needed at that time was a platform to automate a really high volume of subscription transactions every month, primarily with public cloud providers, Azure, AWS, Google Cloud. And AppDirect gave us a lot of the automation that we needed to perform that business much more efficiently. But the main reason that we selected AppDirect is because we did have a future vision of how it would transform the way that we engage with our customers. And that really started about 2 years later when we enabled some functionality on softchoice.com to enable our customers to select, transact, manage their common subscriptions like Microsoft 365 or Adobe. But what I'm really excited about in the journey that we have with AppDirect is that through this entire time, we've had a vision for an opportunity that we could capture to do something that none of our competitors were doing through a much more interactive experience that strikes at the core value proposition of Softchoice. And the reason I'm so excited is because in a few hours, later today on September 18th, we are publicly launching what we call the Softchoice SAM Plus Hub, which has been in development for over 18 months. And effectively what this portal does is it enables our 8,000 customers to manage all of their software subscription assets end to end. So one of the things we're doing with it is really bringing to life the unique capabilities, the advantages that we have. One of them is that our 8,000 customers work with us with an understanding that we're going to assess their environment continuously. We want to know who's using what software and how. We pair that information with our entitlement data. Softchoice manages over 300,000 subscription agreements every year for our customers. So we're matching what you're using with what you're buying. But the magic that really pulls it together is AppDirect, because when we match those two things and automate the recommendation to rationalize software down to fewer titles or right size to the actual usage, we now give the customer the ability to immediately right size or command that recommendation. AppDirect is automating the provisioning of that change and the billing so that the customer now has a true end-to-end experience to manage the entire subscription portfolio. And this functionality does not exist anywhere else in our competitive landscape. So we're really excited about the ability it provides for us to reach new customers and drive a lot more diversification and improve CX with the existing ones.
And you guys used the APIs and built on top of the marketplace platform to do that, which is really, really interesting. I know Vodafone has done that as well with sort of trying to meet the customer wherever they are in the Vodafone digital properties and embedding purchase experiences there, as opposed to having just a destination marketplace, which is how you're thinking about
Exactly.
it. Yeah. Look, this morning, there was a lot of product talk, a lot of talk about, all the features, functions that we're releasing, and let's talk about what was the most exciting thing you saw and how it might apply to your business. Stuart, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think the distribution capabilities are of real interest to us. I think, and quite selfishly, the way we can syndicate those products across 14 markets for me is a good thing, right? So
Yeah.
I think the advancement on that is critical, because what we do within Vodafone is we create a lot of product in the center that needs to deploy across all markets. So having to be able to do that with a click of a button 14 times is amazing for us. But I can't really get away from the Gen AI capabilities that are coming through. I think that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lot of work on guided selling for our customers. We do have a broad range of products and services that we can sell, and sometimes they're not aware of the business benefit it can give them. So helping through AI guided selling, I think, is going to be really interesting for us. Really interesting.
Fantastic. Yeah. Khaled, what was your big takeaway from the morning?
I second what Stuart said. Being able to pull in traditional IT B2B business, traditional warehouse business into the marketplace is huge. It's a convergence of let's say modern IT and traditional IT. We have the opportunity to create real as a service bundles, everything as a service. It's huge. I'm really looking forward.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing that more and more, right? That the proposition that the buyers are looking for has to be, more unified, right?
Yes.
Where they're looking for hardware, software connectivity bundled as a package, just easier to consume, easier to pay for. That's been challenging, though. Like for companies to pull that together and create an experience has been very challenging. I know you've launched some things already at Vodafone, but I think the integration that you saw this morning is really going to make that more compelling.
It will, definitely. I think, a lot of build work has gone into the things we've done historically using the marketplace. So if we can streamline that in a way that's then surfaced through the UI, then that's amazing for us.
Yeah. Chris, what was your big takeaway from the morning?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it a moment ago. I think the general theme on embracing a platform approach so that we can integrate the broad selection of products and services we all want to bring to our customers is the right theme. And specifically, what I was really excited about is the investment AppDirect is making in APIs to help businesses like Softchoice build on these platforms. Quite often, it's not the vision or the capability to create a new product that limits us. It's the amount of friction of transacting that vision without automation, and the APIs that we're now starting to use and will continue to build upon is what really enables the business to scale through greater automation. So that's the thing I think my team is really excited about from this morning.
Fantastic. One thing before we, try to wrap this up, and I know we're the panel before lunch, so I am sensitive to that. But there's definitely a notion of assisted selling through a marketplace where you have one of the sales reps or channel partners that are actually assisting and the customer through versus a self-serve notion where the customer actually goes and you talked about it, the sophisticated customers. What are the trends you're seeing there? Because I mean, the holy grail of marketplaces for most companies will be when you have a high self-serve volume and you're generating revenue with low costs, as Nick's talked about. Stuart, what are your experiences on self-serve versus assisted selling?
Yeah, I think in a couple of our markets, we've seen organic growth with customers hanging out there and self-serving, right? I think Khaled made a good point earlier. A lot of our transactions are still sold through traditional sales channels. So that still needs to remain. But some of the things we're doing is actually sort of presenting those products up into more of our digital experiences. So in Vodafone, as an example, you have an in-life signed-in experience where you can see your mobile tariff, billing, and everything else. So what we're trying to do is bring our marketplace products and services through that channel as well, so that the customer doesn't have to have platform exposure about where they're going to be making these transactions. So we're trying to blend our customer experiences into one so that it can happen in one pane of glass rather than doing one piece over here and one piece over there. But we do see in some of our markets some good growth in terms of organic customers just transacting through the platform itself.
Fantastic. Khaled, is self-serve becoming reality? Are you seeing is it a material part of your business, or are you still spending a lot of assisted selling?
So I can share some numbers. So today, when I look on customer onboardings, I think we're around 70% assisted sales, 30% self-service sales. But then the next interesting number is really when you have the customer on the platform, will they eventually begin to procure by themselves? And yes, it works, but you definitely have to educate customers to be aware of all those features, how it works, etc. And you need to give customers good reasons to come to the marketplace recurringly, create stickiness on the marketplace, give them features like budget management, like forecasting, etc. So that's the thinking that we are doing around creating marketplace stickiness, how to create more value adds for customers, gives them good reasons to regularly visit the marketplace again. That's super important.
Chris, do you see a day when self-serve, I mean, obviously your SAM Plus product is essentially that push into it, but do you see self-serve being a big part of Softchoice business?
It is, and the spin I would put on it is the way we're looking at it is it's actually enabling our sales organization to spend time on higher value conversations that you can't automate. So, this transaction I just described in the SAM Plus Hub, where a customer can see what they're using, what they're entitled, see the recommendation, click to right size entirely on their own. We currently do that in the form of meetings with our customers. And our sales team has limited capacity, and our customers have limited capacity to meet with us. I don't need to use that limited capacity now to complete that transaction, which we've now automated, and now we can spend our time talking about their longer term vision, how things like AI that we talked about earlier today are actually driving into the business. That's a much higher value conversation for our sales organization that we no longer have to have because of the digitalization that the platform has enabled.
Yeah, and this is a really, I think, key point, because a lot of people talk about, the optimization of self-service being, great for your business as a seller. But you have to really look at it as you said, from the customer perspective, because you're engaging with them at a much higher quality level if the task sort of based acquisition is done online.
Yeah.
And we all know that more and more people want to buy online. That's a given. Look, as we wrap this up, maybe if each of you could leave the audience with, a few tips that you would give them if they're starting on their marketplace journey. I mean, you guys are clearly the pioneers. You were the first ones out there, and have learned a lot. If you were doing it over again and starting, what tips would you give people? Stuart, let's start with you.
It's a tough question. I think that land and expand approach, if we had that day one, would have saved us a lot of time and effort. But that's one part of it. I mean, I think Khaled mentioned, enabling everything outside of the marketplace is critical here, right? Having a platform that does this is amazing, but you need sales channels enabled, you need product portfolios, go-to-market and marketing, all in sync. So there have been some markets where we've launched products with no revenue that are coming off the back of it. And there's reasons why, because the business isn't aligned to do that. So stakeholder management as well is a critical part of my job, right?
You're absolutely right around aligning all the departments. I remember having conversations many years ago around you guys having to revisit the compensation models because the marketplace introduced different sort of selling motions and your whole sort of compensation model for the teams had to be revisited, which was something that you guys learned as you went, right? And so
it's a transformational program, right?
It is a transformation.
It never stops, unfortunately. That's why I'm a job, right? So, but yeah.
Yeah. Chris.
Yeah, I would say definitely start small with wins that you can measure will have impact for the business, and know that the roadmap's going to iterate. Your vision will iterate just as ours has. I do want to take a moment, though, just to reiterate something Khaled said. When I think about the way you framed the question, Bert, if we could do one thing differently, organizationally, we would never have assigned an AppDirect owner. That's typical, right? Like you have an owner and everyone goes to that person and holds them accountable for the performance of the platform. That is toxic in a transformation program like this. The answer is we are all the owner of this internally, whether you're in sales, services, operations, finance. We have a corporate strategy that is mutually dependent now on this platform. And since we've taken that mindset, I'm not saying we're 100% there, right, Al? But we're definitely getting much better progress as a team on it now. So that would be one lesson for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked over lunch a long time ago, and I think you mentioned that the marketplace it's an iteration, it's a continual iteration, and you just have to keep iterating and having the organization understand that, right, as part of the program. Khaled, parting thoughts here for the audience. What advice can you give people?
It's I think a little bit like starting a new business venture. As always, it's a little bit like a startup. You need a high frustration tolerance level. You need a lot of endurance. And again, if you're part of a bigger corporation, make sure to have a lot of friends, to have a lot of alliances and get it together. It's not an easy task. It doesn't go for itself. It's a lot of things you need to consider and do. But eventually, if you're successful, having an automated digital business, that's what the world is currently all about.
Fantastic. Well, look, I'd really like to thank the three of you for sharing some insights. I obviously value your relationships and all the trust you've put in AppDirect over the years. Being pioneers sometimes isn't easy. I think you guys all have some arrows in your back from some of the early days, but it's great to share some success today and have you on stage. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.